Hello, friends, and Happy New Year. Welcome to this very special edition of Football Friday. I am your host, Anthony Floyo, joined as always by good old MF Michael Fletcher and Michael Bullock. A very light docket on this evening as we will be previewing the four NFL wildcard games. And on top of that, we will have our preview of the national championship game, the college football playoff national championship game, the Clemson Tigers and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Stop me if you've heard that one before. So we'll get into that. And time pending, maybe we'll do one final NFL power rankings for this year. So there's really nothing more to say on this. So you all ready to go? Let's dive right on in. Tomorrow kicks off another NFL playoff year. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, here we are. It's like we just started this thing, and now all of a sudden, here we go again. It's postseason time. I mean, I feel like just yesterday we started this, and now postseason time. Just unbelievable. So, and I believe 3 of the 4 matchups were matchups that we saw in the regular season. So, one I don't believe we did. So, but we're going to be kicking things off in the AFC, starting with the game that will take place at 4:40 tomorrow afternoon over on ESPN. It'll be simulcast on ESPN and ABC. We have meeting for the third time this season, division rivals, the Houston Texans, or I should say the Indianapolis Colts, squaring off against the Houston Texans. NRG, formerly Reliant Stadium in Houston. Like I said, ABC simulcast as well on it's ESPN and ABC simulcasting. And on the call will be your Monday Night Football crew from this season. That would be Joe Tessitore, along with Jason Witten, Booger McFarland, and Lisa Salters on the sidelines. The spread favors the Houston Texans only by 1 point, if you can believe that. Only a 1 point spread for Houston over Indy. They have not met in the postseason before. It'll be their first ever postseason meeting. They met twice in the regular season. Both teams winning, but both teams won on the other team's home. September 30th, which was week number 4, Houston went into Indianapolis and beat the Colts 37-34 in overtime. And then on December the 9th, which was week number 14, Indianapolis went into Houston and beat the Texans 24-21, snapping the big winning streak of the Houston Texans. So definitely a lot at stake here. So with all that being said, gentlemen, here we go. We're going to dive right on into this first wild card matchup. So bear with me as I pull up my notes here, and very comprehensive here this evening. So with all that said, here we go. Colts and Texans over on ESPN/ABC, and here we go. How close is this matchup? These teams played each other twice this season, and the combined score of the games was 58-58. One area where these teams are very different is in how they protect their quarterbacks. Andrew Luck was sacked just 18 times this season, and Deshaun Watson was sacked 62 times. If Houston can solve the Colts offensive line, or if the Colts struggle to get to Watson, the game could swing hard in the Texans' favor. Houston, a 61.3% favorite, The first ever playoff matchup between AFC South teams features two of the hottest teams in the league. Since week 7, the Colts have gone 9-1, and the Texans are 8-2. And both teams rank in the top 5 in offensive efficiency and the top 10 in defensive efficiency in that span, according to FBI. The matchup to watch, Andrew Luck versus the Texans' two-deep coverage. In the 2 regular season meetings, the Texans rolled to cover 2 out of their dime personnel in third down situations. Look for Colts coach Frank Reich to dial up some zone beaters for his quarterback. The idea here is to occupy defenders and create open windows for Luck to target T.Y. Hilton and Eric Ebron on middle-of-the-field throws to move the sticks and extend drives. The Colts will have their starting offensive line together for the first time since the November 18th game against Tennessee. They'll need the continuity against Houston's pass rush, which had 43 sacks this season. The Colts accounted for 12 of Watson's 62 sacks this season. I would give the Colts the edge of Hilton, T.Y. Hilton, who has 933 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns in 7 career games in Houston, were healthy. But the receiver re-injured an ankle against Tennessee last week, and it's uncertain how effective he'll be despite resting it and getting treatment all week. In 2 regular season games against Houston this season, Andrew Luck has thrown for 863 yards and 6 touchdowns. Plenty of that damage was done on throws to Hilton, who might not be at full speed for Saturday's game. 2 of Hilton's 500-yard games this season were against the Texans. So if Houston can keep Watson protected, Houston could have just enough offense to outlast Luck and give the franchise its 4th playoff win. I am going to go with the Houston Texans to win this game. My final score, I'm going to go 27-24, Houston over Indianapolis. Should be a great game and a great way to start off Wild Card Weekend. So I don't know which game is the Tony and Mikey game here. I mean,
that ain't it.
Okay, I'll take it then. I think we all know what it is now. So all that being said, 27-24, Houston over Indianapolis. Nothing more to say. Good old MF Michael Fletcher. The number 2 game, obviously, when it comes to our side here. So 2 red hot teams. 3rd time they're meeting this year. Both teams won on the road. I mean, Indy could easily steal one here, but I just think Houston's the better team and they're at home. So I got to give the slight edge to Houston here.
I disagree. I totally disagree with what you just said, Anthony Florio, and it's because of that offense. Yes, you got DeAndre Hopkins, who's a dangerous player. You got Lamar Miller, a great, very good player as well. And yes, if Deshaun Watson can stay upright and does not get sacked, then yeah, absolutely, Houston can win that game. But Indy, I've seen Indy already a lot this year, and I've really noticed they are a lot better defensively and everything else. They got Marlon Mack, a very dominating power running back. You know, you got a really good tight end. As long as T.Y. Hilton, if he stays healthy enough that he can play, definitely has an opportunity. But Anthony, the X factor is Andrew Luck, man. Andrew Luck is on a mission to show that he is an elite quarterback. And I think now there is no injury concern about him, you know, like he has for the last couple of years. He is definitely proven to be a really good quarterback in the NFL, and he's really risen to the occasion. I don't know about the defense. I think the defense is a bend not break for Houston. Yes, they're at home, but Anthony, you said it. The last time these 2 teams played was in Houston, and Indy won. The stakes are even more higher, and Indy earned the right to get into the playoffs, where Houston, in a way, kind of backed in to get in. So, I mean, as much as I might like the Texans on this one, on Wild Card Weekend, the chips falls where they may, and everything goes out the window. 1-point favorite, not comfortable for me at all. Indy wins. Indy stuns Houston Houston goes home. They board the L train, and Indy has a date with destiny with the Kansas City Chiefs next week on divisional weekend. 27-21. I got the Indianapolis Colts knocking out the Houston Texans. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yes, this is an intriguing match here, and now I have to be the one to break the tie here. But yeah, I mean Houston. I mean, I have to agree with Fletch. I mean, they backed in. I mean Florio may say they're the better team, but now with what I've been seeing from them, I mean, I think the hotter team's been the Indianapolis Colts, and the reason why is because of Andrew Luck. I mean, he's proven once again why he is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, he had been battling injuries for the last 2 years, especially missing all of last season. But now that he's fully healthy, he's back to being the Andrew Luck that we saw that got the Colts to the playoffs 3 straight years. And of course, you still got T.Y. Hilton, and then of course the defense plays well. I mean for Houston, yes, on the receiving side you got DeAndre Hopkins, but after that is a who's who because remember, Demaryius Thomas. It's unfortunate that he tore his Achilles tendon and now is lost for the season, and who knows what his status will be for next season because it's a pretty serious injury. And Deshaun Watson, who knows? He's had a good season, but if he could stay upright, who knows? Maybe they can win. But in the defense, and here's the other thing: the offensive line for the Houston Texans is not all that good, and of course, the defense. Yeah, you got that front four and the linebackers, but the secondary, I think, is a weakness. And that's where I think Andrew Luck can take advantage of that situation. So, to me, I'm sorry, Anthony Florio. I'm going to disagree with you, and I'm going to go with Michael Fletcher on this one. I'm calling for the upset as well. The Indianapolis Colts beat the Houston Texans. I'm going to go 28-21. The Colts stun the Texans, punch their ticket to Arrowhead for a date with the Kansas City Chiefs late Saturday afternoon to kick off divisional weekend. Nothing more to say, Florio. Let's move on.
Fair enough. Let's move on. And by the way, Indianapolis the 6th seed in the AFC, Houston the 3. So we move on now to the other half of the Saturday docket. 8:15 kickoff on Fox. Usually it would be NBC or CBS in this spot. Maybe NBC over the years, but CBS will have this. Fox will have this one rather. The number 5 seed, the Seattle Seahawks, squaring off against the number 4 seed, the Dallas Cowboys. AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Your traditional playoff crew will be there. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Aaron Andrews, Chris Myers. These two teams met in week number 3 of the season in Seattle, and the Seahawks won that battle by a score of 24-13. They have met in the playoffs before. We'll never forget it. The infamous Tony Romo Dipsy-Doo Botcheroo. We all remember that one. That's been in folklore for many years. That 2006 NFC wildcard game in Seattle, which the Seahawks won 21-20. It is Seattle opening up as, or I should say it's Dallas rather, opening up as 2 to 2.5 point favorites. So good old MF Michael Fletcher, we started with you. Seattle, Dallas. Every matchup's tough to call, but this one is especially. Dallas at home But then again, Seattle, playoff tested over the years. Dallas, not so much. Who
And
has the edge?
And on top of that, you also got to remember that a lot of people are going with Seattle on this one because of the fact that A, defensively, Seattle's a lot more better. B, Russell Wilson is a little more game tested than Dak Prescott. The one advantage that Dallas has that's a big problem for Seattle. Yes, Chris Carlson is good, but Ezekiel Elliott is a beast, guys, and that's going to be a major factor in the game. Being in Jerry World, the whole 9 yards, postseason play. This is tough. Going into the week, in the back of my mind, I was thinking Seattle all the way. That Seattle's going to win this one. Now I'm starting to waver a little bit. Now I'm starting to think maybe Dallas got this, with everything going on. But like you said, this is a tough game to call. I gotta go with Dallas, but I'm not like 1,000% on this one. This one's gonna be tight. This one's gonna be close. But I think Dallas will have just enough to get by the Seattle Seahawks. But I mean, it's gonna be close, guys. 23-17, Dallas wins. But man alive, man, this is not a good battle. This is not a good matchup for Dallas. I mean, what this could lead to, who knows? But nothing more to say. I got Dallas winning the game. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, this is a tough one to call. I mean, and the thing is, I mean, if this game was in Seattle, no doubt in my mind, I go with the Seahawks here. But this is, of course, in Jerry's world, and obviously, I mean, of course, you got Russell Wilson with the playoff experience. The defense for the Seahawks has been playing better, and let's not forget, guys. I mean, Dallas is a different team from week 3. Dallas has been playing better, and that's why they won their division. And I mean, Dak Prescott's been playing better, and obviously Ezekiel Elliott. Let's not kid ourselves. And Dallas has had some big wins this season. None more bigger than when they beat the New Orleans Saints. Let's not kid ourselves. So, yeah, I mean, this is not going to be an easy pick here, but to me, I gotta go with the Dallas Cowboys in this one. I'm gonna say I'm gonna go 24-21. Dallas beats Seattle. And sorry, Stephen A. Smith. I mean, you may not like my pick, but tough cookie, man, because I know how much of a Dallas Cowboy hater you are. And something tells me I know he probably went with the Seattle Seahawks because of how much he hates that fan base. He hates everything about the Dallas Cowboys. So,
well, you're talking about a Philadelphia guy. You're talking about a guy who's originally from Philadelphia. Of course, there's hate there. Even one of my friends is not rooting for the Cowboys, and he's a Philadelphia fan. So no, the rivalry runs deep. When it comes to that.
And if I know that, I mean, you picked the Cowboys, so I'm pretty sure he would not be happy with you. He's probably not going to be happy with me too. But you know what? Who gives a damn? He probably won't listen to our podcast. So screw you, Stephen A. Smith. Florio, I give it to you. Or should I call him Stupid A. Smith?
That's exactly right, Bullock. So, yeah. Everybody knows the Cowboys like to run the ball, but the Seahawks really like to run the ball. Seattle's 2,560 regular season rushing yards led the NFL and made the Cowboys still a top 10 number look pedestrian. Seattle is even averaging 2.77 rushing yards a carry before first contact, which is better than the 2.65 Dallas and its vaunted offensive line put up. Ezekiel Elliott comes in rested, though, and the Cowboys were 7-1 at home this season, while Seattle was 4-4 on the road. Dallas, a 57.3% favorite. The Cowboys are the favorites in this game, according to FPI. And their play at home this season has something to do with it. Dallas ranked in the top 10 in both offensive, 9th, and defensive, 7th efficiency in home games this season. The Cowboys also ranked in the top 10 in opponent total QBR at home this season, 50.3. Though Russell Wilson actually had a higher QBR on the road, 67.4, than at home, 63.7. The matchup to watch, Dak Prescott versus Seattle's third down pass rush. The Seahawks registered the lowest blitz rate of any defense in the league this season, but this unit led the NFL with 27 third down sacks. This is a combination of an athletic defensive front and a physical back seven who play with technique in the Seahawks' core coverages. Watch for Seattle to stick in its single high safety looks while utilizing twist stunts on the defensive line to create pressure on Prescott. In 2 career games against the Seahawks, both losses, Prescott has thrown 1 touchdown pass to 4 interceptions, and his 52.9% and his 52.9 passer rating is his worst against any opponent. The key for Seattle's defense against Prescott, according to Bobby Wagner, has been the pressure they put on him. Seattle sacked Prescott 5 times in week 3, and it had 6 sacks last week against Josh Rosen in Arizona. The Seahawks have won at least 1 game in all 6 of their playoff appearances under Pete Carroll. They could make it 7 for 7. For that to happen, they have to get to Prescott and force him into a costly mistake. If the Cowboys are to advance to the divisional round, they will need much more than what they've produced against the Seahawks recently. In losses to Seattle in 2015 and 2017, and this year, the Cowboys have scored 1 touchdown in 33 drives. Still, in their past 2 games, they've scored touchdowns on 5 of their past 7 red zone trips. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and New York Giants do not have defenses like Seattle, but the Cowboys believe they have some momentum offensively. This is very tough for me. I'm going to be honest. My gut is telling me to go with Seattle, but my heart is telling me to go with Dallas and you guys. So, because of the fact that they are at home and 7-1, so that's a damn good record. So you can't really go against it. But I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle steals one here. I wouldn't, but I'm gonna take the chance, and I'm gonna agree with you guys on this one. I'm gonna go with Dallas to win. I'm gonna say final score will be 23-16, Dallas over Seattle. But if Seattle wins, if I were to go with Seattle, I would have gone with them 21-20. But I believe 23-16 is the matchup there. So nothing more to say. Let's move on to the Sunday slate of action. And we kick it off with the Tony and Mikey game right here from the AFC wildcard matchup. The number 5 seed, the Los Angeles Chargers, squaring off against the number 4 seed, the Baltimore Ravens, M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. 1:05 kickoff on CBS. Hello, friends. Jim Nance, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson, Jay Feely will be there. The spread favors Baltimore. The Ravens opening up as 2.5 to 3-point favorites. I do not believe these teams have met in the postseason before. I'm just checking really quick to make sure that that's the case, and that is indeed, yeah. This is their first ever postseason meeting. They met earlier this season. They met on the Saturday night back in week number 16. They met at StubHub Center in Los Angeles, and it was the Ravens who stole one, 22-10, and that's what really turned it around for the Baltimore Ravens to come out of nowhere, as we would say, and punch their ticket to the postseason. So, so here you go. Michael Bullock, you started off. It's only fitting we started with you while MF and I, we get ready to go into our details. So Chargers, Ravens, round 2. This time it's in Baltimore. Baltimore stole one in LA a couple Saturdays ago. Can they do it again? Or can the Chargers steal one in Baltimore and pay them back?
Yeah, and the thing is, the Chargers, I mean, the kind of season that they had. I mean, Philip Rivers to me has got to be having one of his best seasons in a long time, and of course, with the Ravens, of course, you're going with rookie Lamar Jackson, who is going to be making his first postseason start, and of course, Baltimore boasts the top-rated defense in the NFL. I mean, what else would you expect when you think Baltimore Ravens? You think of defense. I mean, and that was one of the reasons why they were able to go into LA and beat the LA Chargers. So it's in Baltimore this time. It's going to be a raucous crowd there. Ooh, this is another tough one for me, but you know what? I just don't see how the Chargers can lose back to back in this one. So to me, I think the LA Chargers go into Baltimore and beat the Baltimore Ravens. I'm gonna say my final score. I think it's gonna be low scoring, but I think it's gonna be just enough for the Chargers to go in and win. My final score is gonna be 23-17. I mean, the only reason why, I mean, is because we don't know. I mean, Lamar Jackson's been playing really well. The thing is, how is he going to be in his first ever playoff start? So that's going to be the key. But I got to go with the Chargers here. So there's really nothing more to say. Florio, I give it to you. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
That's going to be the theme. And I felt that's exactly how I felt regarding both of the Saturday games, and these other games no exception, especially this one. So here you go. This is the Tony and Mikey game right here. So here we go. These teams met just a couple of weeks ago, and Baltimore got the better of the matchup in the Chargers building. Now, the Chargers, being a 12-4 wildcard team, have to travel the length of the country for an early window Sunday start and try to solve a Ravens running game that baffled them and everyone else over the second half of the season. Will it help the Chargers that they're the first team to see this Lamar Jackson offense up close twice? Perhaps, and the road hasn't bothered the Chargers, who posted big conference wins in Pittsburgh and Kansas City, both of which MF and I had, en route to their second playoff appearance in the past 9 years. Chargers, very slight favorite according to FPI, 50.8%. When these two teams met in Los Angeles in Week 16, Philip Rivers had his worst total QBR in a game this season at 30. However, Rivers has been much better on the road this season, posting an 81.3 total QBR, second best in the league compared with 58.9 at home. Though the Ravens defense finished second in points allowed and first in yards allowed this season, it actually ranked seventh in defensive efficiency, according to FPI, below the fifth-ranked Chargers. The matchup to watch, Philip Rivers versus Baltimore's pressure packages. In the Ravens' Week 16 win over the Chargers, the Baltimore defense racked up 4 sacks and 8 quarterback hits on Rivers. And we know Baltimore is going to dress up the defensive front to manipulate protection schemes. It's on Rivers to identify blitz situations and find open windows on second-level throws when Baltimore brings its 5-man zone pressure. The Chargers are 8-0 when boarding a plane for a game this season, including wins at Kansas City, Pittsburgh, and Seattle. So they've played well on the road in hostile environments. The Bolts also did a decent job of handling Baltimore's potent running game in the last matchup, limiting Jackson to a season-low 39 rushing yards. They should somewhat contain Baltimore's explosive running plays and will do a better job protecting Rivers against a formidable Raven defensive front. Also, Melvin Gordon is healthier and should be more effective running the football in the rematch. However, John Harbaugh is 5-0 in the wildcard playoffs with the Ravens, who have outscored teams 144-56. That's an average margin of 17.6 points. Considering the role Jackson and the Ravens are on right now, I expect that winning trend to continue. So, Bullock, I agree with you. I have the Baltimore Ravens winning this game. My final score, 20-17. Baltimore over the Chargers.
Don't you mean you disagree with me?
Oh, you had the Chargers.
Yeah, I had the Chargers. So I had to correct you on that.
Forgive me, it's been a long day, and I've been battling a cold last couple of days, so forgive me if I seem a little out of it this evening. But nonetheless, I do have the Ravens winning this one, 20-17. That stat alone, Harbaugh and the team, 5-0, and that average margin of victory of 18 points. And me being the numbers guy and the historical guy, I cannot go against that in good conscience. So if I'm going to be the lone wolf on this one, so be it. So give me the Baltimore Ravens in this one, 20-17. And by the way, this playoff system I think is very, very shaky. If I'm going to be honest with you, it's a little wonky. I mean, I know the Chargers are a wild card team, and I respect that. But for the love of God, they honestly should be the home team in this game, not the Ravens. I'm just being honest. I mean, the system is flawed and it needs fixing. And I know a few people who agree with me on this, so that's just my little mini rant that I want to get out of the way. So we'll get into it another day. But the system definitely needs to be fixed. It should go regardless. It should go by record, regardless of division, wild card, what have you. So mini ran over. Ravens win, 2017. That's the way it is for me. So MF, I mean, our game right here. So you know how to do it. Do that Phil Simms thing I like. Hello, friends.
Yeah, indeed. This is going to be a great matchup. No doubt about it. Great game. Look, I'm going to openly admit this, just like you did, Anthony. This is a scary game. With my prediction of Indy winning, this really pretty much tells us who's going to play against the Patriots. And I hate to say this, but the one team I don't want to be playing is the Baltimore Ravens right about now. Especially with the dual threat of Lamar Jackson. Then you got a really good running game, a running attack, and that defense that reminds me of the defenses that won Super Bowl championships way back when. Yeah, I would not like to play that. Even though, yes, the Chargers are the better team by record, they are. But if you've noticed, lately they've been dealing with a lot of injuries. If they would have been fully healthy, 1,000% fully healthy, no doubt about it, I would go with the Chargers on this game. But you're in Baltimore. You're going from west to east. On top of that, they've already beaten you once. And I truly believe that I think the Ravens are even stronger now than they were just a few weeks ago. I think they finally got their quarterback of the future. I think Lamar Jackson's going to have a big game. I don't think that spotlight is too big because, oh, by the way, he has played in big pressure moments in his career. I mean, he's a former Heisman Trophy winner, for heaven's sakes. So I think Lamar Jackson will rise up to the occasion. He'll deliver a great game. And Anthony, I'm with you. I got the Baltimore Ravens knocking off the Chargers in this game, and they will send the Chargers home. So I got the Ravens winning. They will play the Patriots, and New England, good luck with that at Gillette. I don't think they beat I don't think the Patriots beat the Ravens. With the way the Ravens are playing and the way the Patriots are playing, Michael Bullock, Derek Ferreira, I'm putting you boys on notice right now. Show up or be gone. That's all I'm saying. I think New England's going to be in big trouble if it's the Ravens, because if it's the Ravens, I got New England going out of the playoffs. And yes, I mean it. The Ravens will knock out New England in the divisional round if it comes to that.
Of course, as John Cena would say, step up or step aside. So that's all there is to say on that. So I'm not sure what's going on with Bullock. I see he's been in and out for a few minutes. I'm sure he's probably having some glitches on his end. So hopefully we can get him straightened out. But nonetheless, we move on to our fourth and final NFL wildcard weekend matchup from the NFC, the number 6 seed, your reigning and defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, squaring off against the number 3 seed, the Chicago Bears, Soldier Field in Chicago, 4:40 kickoff over on NBC. So you know who's working this. Your Sunday Night Football crew, as always, Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya. They will be in Chicago for this one. And, oh, yes, there is playoff history between these two. You better believe there's playoff history between these two. I got 2 words for you. Fog Bowl. We all know that one. And they have met in postseason 3 times before. The first meeting was in 1979. That was a then NFC first round playoff matchup in Philadelphia, and the Eagles won that one by a score of 27-17. The second meeting, of course, the infamous Fog Bowl, the NFC divisional playoff in 1988. Bears won that one 20-12, and their most recent playoff meeting was another NFC divisional playoff matchup back in 2001, and it was the Philadelphia Eagles going into Soldier Field and defeating the Bears 33-19. So I don't believe these two teams met during the regular season, as I recall. No, they did not. Their last meeting was November of 2017. So no. So that's it for that. And it is Chicago opening up as the biggest favorite of the weekend. They're opening up as 6.5-point favorites. So with all that, Eagles, Bears, here you go. Opposing quarterbacks posted the league low 50.8 total QBR against the Bears this season, but this is Nick Foles in January. And a year ago, that was pure magic. The defending Super Bowl champs were left for dead 6 weeks ago, but they won 5 of their last 6 to snag the final NFC playoff spot, more than any team playing this weekend, except certain pockets of Seattle's roster. The Eagles know how to win playoff games. It'll be a far tougher road from the number 6 seed than the one they took from the number 1 spot a year ago. But everybody knows it's not easy to knock out a champion. Chicago opening up as a 69.1% favorite. The Bears are FPI's biggest favorite of the weekend, thanks mainly to the best defense in the league this season, ranking first in defensive efficiency, 77.9, according to FPI, and first in opponent total QBR allowed, 50.5. But don't sleep on the Bears offense either. Mitchell Trubisky ranked 3rd in the league in total QBR at 72.8. And the Bears ranked 10th in offensive efficiency this season. The matchup to watch, Vic Fangio's defense versus Zach Ertz in the red zone. The Eagles tight end had 116 receptions this season, including 7 touchdowns inside the red zone. What's the answer for the Bears' number 1 ranked defense? Based on past opponents, I anticipate the Bears using outside linebackers Khalil Mack and Leonard Floyd to disrupt the release of Ertz with a linebacker or safety catching over the top to limit the tight end's production in scoring position. The Bears' defense is a tough draw for any team, but the Eagles match up pretty well. They are strong along the offensive line, and Foles is getting the ball out about as quickly as anyone over the past 3 games, 2.46 seconds, which should help neutralize Mack and that nasty Chicago pass rush. Philly's defense has been coming on strong of late, and they will be eager to take advantage of any missteps Trubisky makes in his postseason debut. The Eagles have the clear edge in postseason experience, but the Bears went 7-1 at Soldier Field in the regular season. Chicago won 9 of its last 10 to finish the year 12-4, the most wins for the franchise since 2006. Oh, by the way, they went to the Super Bowl that year. The Bears' defense has been virtually unstoppable, leading the league in takeaways at 36 and interceptions 27. Philadelphia is a worthy first-round opponent, but the Bears have too much momentum to be one and done in this postseason, so there's nothing left for me to say on this. I got the Chicago Bears winning this game. My final score, 25-20. The Chicago Bears over the Philadelphia Eagles. Nothing more to say. I think this is the one game that we're all going to be in agreement on. So MF, we have to be in agreement on this one. It's got to be Chicago in this one.
I'll go with Chicago as well, but this is a tough game. This is dangerous. Going into it, I would have been like, oh, Chicago, easy. But, man, Nick Foles, and he's starting to play that Saint Nick type thing again, man. I'm starting to get flashbacks of last year again, guys. And let me tell you, we all know the crazy ride that Philly went on, and they ended up winning the Super Bowl. And I don't know, Anthony, I'm starting to get flashbacks of last year all over again. Carson Wentz gets hurt right towards the end of the year. Nick Foles comes in, and at the time, if you remember, Philly had everything all wrapped up. Like, they had the division won, everything else, so they really had nothing to really fight for. This time around, they had to fight for something because they didn't win the division. This time, they had to fight their way just to get into the playoffs. You know, they needed some good luck to happen. Oddly enough, it was the Chicago Bears that helped them get to the playoffs, if you remember. Chicago had to beat Minnesota, and then Philly had to do their business and beat Washington, which they did. And then that's how basically Minnesota gets left behind. Philly goes in, and now they play the Chicago Bears. And like you said, the Bears defense is very strong, very powerful. With Mac and the guys, and they're looking really, really good. But Nick Foles, man, I don't know. This is tough. This is dangerous, Anthony. This is not a slam dunk like I think we all thought it was going to be. I got the Bears winning, but I would not be stunned if Philly pulls the upset and knocks Chicago out. Even though I know there's a few people that actually had Chicago going all the way to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, this is a really tough game to call. So I got Chicago winning, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. So very, very, very interesting matchup. It's nothing to say more. Anthony, I give it to you so that we can get into the college football playoff national title game.
Before we do that, I'm afraid I have some bad news. Michael Bullock had to leave us early this evening because of a family commitment. He had a family little something he had some family business, if you will, to take care of. So I mean, it's nothing serious. I mean, it's just a responsibility that came up at the last minute. So he informed me that he has the Chicago Bears winning this game, and I'll share his pick for the national championship in just a moment. So here we go. The main event of the evening. This is what we've been waiting for. The college football playoff national championship game, which will take place on Monday night, 8 o'clock Eastern or so time, from Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California. The number 2 Clemson Tigers squaring off against the number 1 and reigning, defending, undisputed college football playoff national champions, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Stop me if you've heard that one before. I call this the new Cavs versus Warriors because, you know, they're meeting as often as the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors have. This is the third time in the last 4 years they'll be meeting for the national championship. And this is the 4th year overall they'll be meeting in the playoff altogether. They met in the semifinal a year ago. And here we go again. They're at it once again. So, getting into the numbers here, of course, we know who's going to be working the game. It'll be Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Maria Taylor, Tom Rinaldi. They will be there. Alabama. Yes, Alabama's the favorite, but believe it or not, they're not a double-digit favorite. I mean, this is the first time in a very long time that they're not opening up as a double-digit favorite. They're only favored by 5.5 to 6. So, color me surprised when it comes to that one. So there's really nothing more to say here. Good old MF Michael Fletcher. This is it. I mean, we saw Alabama in the in that shootout with Oklahoma. We saw that one. Bama winning impressively. Oklahoma hung with them. Clemson, what can you say? They absolutely manhandled and literally put Notre Dame under siege, which I knew they were going to do. I'm not surprised. So, 4th year in a row overall they're meeting. 3rd time in the last 4 they're battling for the national championship. The new Cavs versus Warriors, as I call it. So, but nonetheless, MF, no 2 teams in college football over the last few years have set standards of excellence more than Clemson versus Alabama. I know we're getting sick and tired of the matchup, but at the same time, though, they've given us some damn good classics, some Shakespearean drama. But like it or not, you're a Michigan guy, I'm a Notre Dame guy, especially me, after what Clemson did to us. I'm still reeling, but nonetheless, MF, here we go. 2nd time tonight. Well, in this case, you'll be doing the Kirk Herbstreit thing that I like. So, Clemson, Bama, one more time. We're going to finally settle it. Who is the best team in college football? Who's the best in the world?
Yeah, definitely. This is as great of a battle that you can have. One of the best rivalries that we've seen recently, because it is 2 great teams just going at it. Going into this, I think we all kind of started feeling like, oh, it's Alabama all the way. There's no way they're gonna lose the national championship here. They just look too strong. Well, all of a sudden, Trevor Lawrence becomes the guy, and I don't know what to say. Dabo Swinney, man, this guy has gotten his team into another national championship game. Undefeated. They had a couple of close scares and everything else. Lately, Alabama's had a few scares towards the end. They almost lost to Georgia in the SEC championship game. Yes, they jumped out wicked early, beat down on Oklahoma, but then Oklahoma came back on them. And if it wasn't for some late game heroics by Tua Tagovailoa, who knows? That might have gone the way of Oklahoma, the way that they were building momentum, especially towards the end of the game. So, I mean, there's definitely that kind of factor going in. And then, yes, Clemson dominating performance in the ACC championship game, beat down on Notre Dame. I think a lot of people kind of expected that to happen more than anything else. So, like I said, it's going to be a great battle and it's going to be a great final. But I just don't see how Alabama does not lose this game. I just think they're just a far more superior team, and we've seen it many times. I think what Clemson has to do is they're going to have to do what Georgia did, and that's get pressure on Tua Tagovailoa, rough up their wide receivers, meet their running backs head on early in the game, get into that kind of rhythm. And then if you're offensively, basically the blueprint you had against Notre Dame, you got to bring that blueprint against Alabama. Offensively, they were absolutely flawless. Their game plan against Notre Dame was absolutely flawless. Anthony, you saw it firsthand. Even though we didn't do the game, but we were watching it, and you were marveling at Clemson about like, wow, how amazing is this Trevor Lawrence kid? How amazing is this offense? And let me tell you guys, it's going to be that kind of game. So I do believe that Alabama, I got Alabama winning the national championship. This is going to be a good battle. 31-27 is my final score. Alabama captures the national championship. No, it's not next victim, like you always like to say, Florio, because this last victim is going to be their toughest one yet. You thought Georgia was going to be tough. You thought Oklahoma was going to be tough. Clemson has the blueprint. They know how to beat Alabama. They've done it. They did it under the pressure of a national championship spotlight, and they knocked them out. They could easily do it again. that's the one thing. Other than that next victim mantra that you said all year long, because we felt like there's no team that can stack up against Alabama. There was no team that could challenge Alabama or anything else. No, my friend. Clemson will easily shove that next victim crap that you like to say, and they'll shove it down our throats and make it eat it if we don't watch ourselves. So, yes, I got Alabama winning, but I would not be stunned if Clemson does the unthinkable and knocks Bama out, and they're the one to capture the national titles. So, we'll see. This is going to be a great game on Monday night, nonetheless. Florio, it's yours.
And it's also one half of major appointment television come Monday night. Let's not forget, we also have a very exciting first Monday Night Raw of 2019 as well. I mean, if you heard the latest news about that show, even though it's more of a serious thing, but nonetheless, we'll get into that at the end. But for right now, the college football playoff, as we saw last weekend, went chalk in the semifinal round, leading to the third national title matchup in 4 years between the Alabama Crimson Tide and Clemson Tigers. The two powerhouses will meet again Monday night in Santa Clara for the right to call themselves champions. Both teams spent the season at the top of the rankings and proved their worth throughout the season as they won all of their games to this point. And me being the Chris Fowler / Jim Nance, I have assembled a comprehensive preview of this game. Meaningful stats, keys to stopping each team's talented quarterback, top storylines, and a final score prediction. So I'll tell you, this showdown has become a throughout the stats sort of game between two elite programs. But if you're like me, who is interested in them, here's what these teams have done for the past few months. I mean, Alabama's passing offense, 69.4% completions, 325.6 yards a game, 11.3 yards allowed, 50 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, a passer rating of 202.7. Clemson, 64.7% completion percentage, 274 yards a game, 8.1 yards allowed, 34 TDs, 8 picks, a rating of 152.7. So that's the passing offense, and Bama has the edge in the passing offense. They also have the edge in a slight edge in the passing defense. Well, actually, it's about the same. I mean, Bama's passing defense, 51.7% completions, 187.6 yards a game, 6.1 yards allowed, 19 TDs, 14 picks, a rating of 110.7. Clemson, 52.6%. 182 yards a game, 6.2 yards allowed, 11 TDs, 10 picks, a rating of 108.6. Rushing offense, it's Clemson. Because Alabama, 202 yards a game, 5.3 yards a carry, 33 TDs. That's great. But Clemson, 256.3 yards, 6.7 yards a carry, 47 TDs, advantage Clemson. Rushing defense, again, it's Clemson. Alabama allowed 120 yards per game, 3.5 a carry, 9 TDs. Clemson, 92.6 yards, 2.4 yards a carry, 8 TDs. Scoring, Bama averaging 47.7 points a game. Clemson, 44.3 points. That's Bama, no doubt about it. But Bama allowed 16.2. Clemson allowed 12.9. So Clemson gets the edge there. Turnovers, Alabama had 21 forced, 13 lost, a margin of +8. Clemson, 22 forced, 17 lost, a +5 margin. Bama has the turnover edge. And some miscellaneous numbers. Bama, 24 total yards allowed on punt returns this year, number 5 nationally. Clemson, 53 touchdowns on 69 red zone trips, a touchdown percentage of 76.8, also number 5 nationally. Key storylines. 3 major storylines that encompass the current reality of the game in both programs, as well as the futures of each. Alabama and Clemson have quickly built quite the recent history over the last 4 years. Though Alabama beat Clemson 24-6 in last year's Sugar Bowl, This national championship game will be the tiebreaker between their 2016 and 2017 showdowns. Each game was decided in the waning moments, building up expectations that this could be another heart-stopping performance by these schools. Much has changed for each program even in the last year. Both teams replaced their starting quarterbacks on top of all of the departed talent that jumped to the NFL. Yet Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney haven't missed a beat as they maintain their stranglehold on college football. The theme of the game itself will be the battle of two physical and disciplined teams. Alabama and Clemson dominated their foes in the trenches in the semifinal round and kept their collective cool. Their opponents failed to display the same level of toughness and struggled to maintain composure when the deficit swelled. After the game ends, the overarching storyline will be about the youth of both teams. Neither will be losing its superstar quarterback, as Tua Tagovailoa is only a true sophomore and Trevor Lawrence a true freshman. But their playmakers are also in a similar situation. Alabama's Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs III, Jalen Waddle, and Devontae Smith are all at least 1 year away from NFL eligibility. Excuse me. The same is true for Clemson's T. Higgins, Amari Rodgers, Justin Ross, and Travis Etienne. All of these offensive stars will be back for the 2019 season and some in 2020. It's incredible how well the schools have reloaded after losing what have become NFL stars. It wasn't surprising the Crimson Tide took control of the Orange Bowl by bulldozing the Oklahoma defensive front, but the running back who dominated wasn't necessarily the one many expected. The Tide's third leading rusher on the year, Josh Jacobs, pulverized Sooners defenders to the tune of 158 total yards on 19 touches. Jacobs entered the game with less than 500 rushing yards and 200 receiving yards on the year. Keeping such a talent in its back pocket for most of the year is a luxury that only Alabama and maybe two other teams in the country could boast. The powerful 5'10", 216-pound junior has a chance to continue rolling against a tremendous Clemson defensive front. Jacobs will have to use his creativity to find extra yards and be willing to drop his shoulder and create holes other times. If he can't, the Tide will turn to their other backs, Damian Harris and Najee Harris, or rely on their incredible passing game to produce. Like Alabama's Josh Jacobs, Justin Ross' breakout in the Cotton Bowl was only a surprise because of the embarrassment of riches in front of him on the depth chart. On most teams, Ross would have easily been a number one receiver despite being a true freshman. He accumulated 148 yards and 2 touchdowns on 6 receptions against a talented Notre Dame secondary. His ability to go up and over defenders displayed a skill set that few collegiate or NFL cornerbacks can consistently stop. Ross's 6'4" frame and immense leaping ability will go up against Alabama star freshman cornerback Patrick Surtain Jr. Surtain Jr. uses his 6'2" length, as well as any big corner in the nation. So Clemson may look to avoid that matchup whenever possible to create more advantageous situations. Clemson freshman quarterback Trevor Lawrence entered college football with as much hype as any signal caller in recent years, and he's delivered to the fullest extent. The playmaker has an electric arm capable of hitting tight passing windows and beating closing defenders just in time for a completion. The Tigers' offense became much more balanced and dangerous after he was named the starter because of his ability to threaten defenses on all levels. Alabama must get into the backfield via unexpected pressure and force Lawrence to cough up the football. He finished the year with the fewest number of turnover-worthy throws in the nation per Pro Football Focus. While nearly every quarterback is worse under pressure, the Tide specifically want to confuse Lawrence pre- and post-snap with their disciplined and advanced pattern match tactics. Clemson staff knows it well, but it'll take great improvisational plays from Lawrence to beat it, a la what Deshaun Watson did in 2016 and 2017. By slowing down his reads, the hope is a pass rusher will hit Lawrence to create an interception or a fumble. A turnover or two could swing the outcome of the game. As well as the Alabama defense has played this year, there's one clear area where Clemson has outproduced it. No team had more sacks this season than Clemson, and the Tigers ranked second in tackles for loss. They combined to make 181 tackles for loss and sacks on the year. Even if Dexter Lawrence misses the game as a result of a drug suspension, the Tigers are loaded on the defensive line with blue chippers. Cleveland Farrell, Christian Wilkins, Albert Huggins, Austin Bryant, and Xavier Thomas from one of the best units we've seen in college football over the last decade. They possess next-level size speed, strength, and awareness. They're going to have to play their best game to disrupt Tua Tagovailoa. Tagovailoa is incredibly accurate, despite not having the strongest arm. The touch on his passes is reminiscent of Chad Pennington and Steve Young, two players who overcame some physical limitations with brilliance and precision. But every quarterback can be rattled, and Tagovailoa can get rid of the ball quickly, or has more than a few seconds to throw. Alabama's offense is nearly unstoppable. So it's up to the Tigers' front to make Tagovailoa hear footsteps and feel bodies all around him from the start of the game. Key to the game? There are a few major keys to winning this game. The Tigers must pressure Tua Tagovailoa early and often. The Crimson Tide must slow Travis Etienne and limit the chunk yards he can create so easily. The most important facet of this game is whether Clemson can force turnovers on defense. The biggest weakness among the positional groups between these teams lies in the Tigers secondary. That's partially due to the talent at all the other positions on both sides of the field, but also because Clemson's defensive backs have logged just 7 interceptions and 31 passes defensed. It's a good coverage unit, but not a playmaking group. While it's feasible Clemson will suffocate Tagovailoa in the passing game, Alabama is too good at creating scoring opportunities via the running game, special teams, and defensive turnovers to figure the Tide won't score a few times. That's why Clemson must hurry Tagovailoa's process and take advantage of his average arm strength and inexperience, or his success could be the difference maker. It was obvious these teams were the best in the country from the time Trevor Lawrence took over Clemson's starting quarterback job until Tua Tagovailoa's ankle injury against Georgia. Tagovailoa's surgical destruction of Oklahoma proved that his injury was a significant hindrance against the Bulldogs, and these are still the two best teams. Honestly, this is a tough game to predict. Tigers are going to match Alabama's physicality in the trenches on both sides and have the offensive stars to push the young Crimson Tide secondary to its limits. On the other hand, Nick Saban's a tactical mastermind facing a freshman quarterback and young Tigers offense. Clemson hasn't played a team nearly as skilled as Alabama. The Tigers have the horses to run, but must maintain that elite level of play on offense, defense, and special teams. Can Clemson hold on and pull off the upset? Absolutely. It'll cover the 5.5-point spread and give Alabama everything it can handle, even if I go with Alabama to pull through once again, which I am. So, MF, I agree with you. I have the Alabama Crimson Tide as the winners, and still, you're college football playoff national champions. Barely, though. 23-21, Alabama over Clemson, and what should be another instant classic when it comes to these two. You may not like the matchup. I mean, I was kind of hoping Notre Dame would get there, to be honest. But, and yes, it is turning into Cavs and Warriors. But nonetheless, this should be a great matchup, like it or not. So with all that being said, I think we have maybe a little bit of time left. So let's get into our final NFL Power Rankings of the year. And there's no question about it. I mean, I have 2 honorable mentions. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Houston Texans are on the honorable mention list. So I'll start it off at number 10 with the Seattle Seahawks. They are a shock to be here this high in the rankings after the teardown after last season. But you got to give credit where credit is due to Pete Carroll, because he has done an amazing job. And it was recently announced that he has been extended for a couple more years, and rightfully so. So let's see what happens tomorrow night against Dallas. So nothing more to say. I got Seattle at number 10. So MF, who do you got?
Yeah, I agree. I'll go with that as well. I think they definitely deserve to be there. No doubt about it. It was a great season for them. They deserve to be where they're at. So yeah, number 10, I'll give you that spot there. My number 9, this is kind of a tough one. I'm gonna go with the Baltimore Ravens. Look, 10-6 as well. They've won They won a lot of games this season. They won the division. They are the AFC North Division champions, and now they're gonna go and they got to play a very vaunted and very tough Los Angeles Charger team tomorrow. I believe on Sunday, right, Anthony? On Sunday, and
Sunday.
Yep, and we'll wait and see what happens there. Oh, by the way, the Chargers are in there. They're in our top 5. So I'm just giving you guys the heads up there. So my number 9 is the Baltimore Ravens. Anthony, go.
Yeah, there's going to be some disagreements here. I got the Ravens quite a bit higher, if I'm going to be honest with you. With all due respect to the Chargers, I don't think they're quite a top 5 team. I mean, especially after the Raven game from Week 16, and that's all I can say there. So, but the Chargers are in there. Yes, they are. But I just don't think they're a top 5 caliber team. If they had won that Week 16 game against Baltimore, then yes, they would have been top 5, absolutely. But I'm sorry, I got to disagree there. And I disagree at number 9. Like I said, I got the Ravens a few spots higher for me. My number 9 is actually the Dallas Cowboys. They play Seattle tomorrow night, and it's an enormous game for Dak Prescott. And he has to prove he can play like he did against the Giants this past Sunday. So I'm just going to, take it from here. So, like I said, there will be disagreements, but I'm just going by the body of work. I'm throwing records out the window. I'm just going, based on who I feel are the best teams right now. So Dallas is 9 for me. My number 8, like I said, I know there's going to be disagreements, but I got the Indianapolis Colts at my number 8. They're the hottest team in the league right now, and they head to the playoffs, winners of 8 of 9. And they are going to present big problems for the Texans tomorrow. So that's all I can say on that. I know they probably should be higher, but to be quite honest, when you look at the body of work and, the caliber of the other teams I have ahead of them, I'm sure you viewers out there will understand. I know probably MF will not, but, it is what it is. So we disagree all the time. And frankly, that's a good thing. There should be parity. So that's all I can say. Indy's my number 8. MF, I know it's going to be a disagreement, but who do you have anyway?
Absolutely disagreement. I'm almost offended. I'm almost offended about what you just did with the Indianapolis Colts. The way that they got into the playoffs, the way that they earned their right to be in there. I can't even, right now with you, Florio.
Call me out. I'll take
it. And that's the thing. I mean, if you really want me to go there, if you really want me to drop gloves, my number 8 is the New England Patriots. And I'm going to open fire on this one. You beat 2 AFC Eastern Division teams. All right, fine, whatever. But you lost to Pittsburgh. You lost to Miami. And you basically are, even all the Patriot fans out there have been saying, this is one of the worst teams they had. Yet they're 11-5. So I'm sorry. I don't know where on earth you can find the solace over the fact that you talk about the Indianapolis Colts. I was going to say, about the Ravens and everything else, but you basically said records don't matter anymore. All right, let's go. Let's duke it out. So that's where I stand with that. Number 7, initially I was going to put Dallas here, but I'm not gonna, because I truly believe that, no, I'm going to be fair. Dallas deserves to be there. So my number 7 is the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously not correct, because of everything that happened this past season. But no, it is what it is. So Florio, go.
All right. My number 7, this is where I have the Los Angeles Chargers. They will be a dangerous wildcard team. They have a passer and pass rushers. So that's all I can say there. Yes, I do disagree about New England, but it's only because of, what they've done over the past few years. And, it's same old story, same old song and dance for them. And the way they came on in the last 2 weeks. Yes, against inferior opponents, but considering what they've been through and to get to where they are, I think they deserve to be in the top 5 for that alone. So the Chargers are 7. My number 6, this is actually where I have the Baltimore Ravens. Since Lamar Jackson has taken over as the quarterback, this team has changed in a big way. Now they have to beat the Chargers for a second time in 3 weeks. And MF, we both agree they can do that. So you're number 6.
This is going to be tough, and I know I'm going to... Now this is where the blood is going to start boiling. Houston Texans, number 6. And the reason why I got to put them there is, again, the liability on the offense. I got nothing to fear about with the defense, but the offense really, really, really scares me, and I'm not as convinced as everybody else is about them. So that's where I got there. So are we now in the top 5?
I believe we are.
All right. So I guess you lead off in the top 5, right? You got... Oh, no, I'm getting the odds. You're getting the evens. All right. So my number 5... All right. This is going to be... I know this is going to be a little bit of an offensive moment here. And I know a lot of people are going to start going, like, how could you on this one? But I'm gonna go with the Chargers. This is where I put the LA Chargers. Look, they had a great season. Yes, I understand about the Baltimore loss. That was a bad loss. But they beat Kansas City early in the year. They knocked them out. They had identical records with Kansas City. If it wasn't for that one game that got tripped up at the end, who knows? We'd be talking about the Chargers, the number 1 overall team in the AFC. But instead, we're not. But I'm still going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They're still a Super Bowl threat. And I'm not going to dismiss that. Yes, we do got Baltimore winning, but I would not be shocked if the Chargers does get the absolute revenge and knock out the Ravens and get them out of there. So we're just going to have to wait and see. I mean, last 5 games, 4-1. That one loss is against Baltimore. They've played better than any other team that I know of in the last towards the end of the season. You can't discount all the stuff with like teams like New Orleans or anything else like that because they rested their starters. Well, most of them did, so we can't punish them for that. And on top of that, when the going got tough, when the clutch moments needed it to happen, the Chargers were delivering week in and week out. Yeah, they had that one little hiccup against Baltimore, but I'm not going to hold that against them. It was a close loss. It wasn't like they got blown out either. So, number 5 is the Chargers. Florio, go.
All right. You mean number 5? Yeah, I think you said 4.
Yeah, number 5. No, I said 5.
Okay. Just wanted to be sure. By the way, these are the exact same rankings I had last week. So that's all I can say on that. So Baltimore was my number 6. My number 5, I know this is a disagreement here, but I still have to go with the New England Patriots because guess who has a bye and will need just 2 wins to get back to the Super Bowl yet again. It's the same old story, same old song and dance for the New England Patriots. Considering where this team was, you remember they lost to Pittsburgh week 15, which caused Derek Ferreira to post, without question, the most controversial video he has ever posted in all his years on YouTube. I mean, go figure. They could have easily been in the wild card spot. But then they dominated Buffalo like they always do. They dominated the Jets. And they got the help that they needed. They needed some help. They actually got it. And if it wasn't for that miracle in Miami, which I know MF is going to, hold in very high regard. If it wasn't for that miracle in Miami, we would have been talking about New England as the number 1 team in the AFC because they would have had the tiebreaker over Kansas City because of that wild game they had. A game that, unfortunately, MF and I had to miss out on because of our baseball playoff commitments at the time. But, we ended up getting the last laugh because we ended up getting the game of the year in Los Angeles. So you know that story. So, but nonetheless, it is the New England Patriots for now. So they are my number 5. Number 4, hopefully the top 4 will be in agreement on. My number 4 is the Chicago Bears. The defense is fierce and can take them deep in the playoffs, but the offense will have to make some big plays to help balance it. So that's all I can say there. Chicago Bears number 4. MF, what says you?
Fair enough, and I do agree with that. Chicago is number 4. There's really no debate on that one. I'm not even gonna attempt to fight on that one. There's no need to fight when it comes to that kind of situation. My number 3. Now this is where it gets a little tricky because you got the Rams, you got the Saints, and you got Kansas City. I gotta go Kansas City number 3, and the reason why is look, great play, great dominance. They had everything going their way all year long. There was a couple of stumbles along the way. That loss against the Chargers, like I said, that really hurt them. That knocked them out of the number 1 spot because if it wasn't for that, they probably would have been near the top, if not the top team going into the playoffs. But they were really good. Nothing bad to say about it. So I'm not going to punish them for that. My number 3 is Kansas City. So Anthony, go.
Yeah, I definitely feel better about this one. I think we're going to be in agreement the rest of the way. Number 3, Kansas City Chiefs. You're absolutely spot on there, MF. Patrick Mahomes should be the MVP and has his team as the top seed in the AFC. Even the defense was making plays against the Raiders this past Sunday in that rout at Arrowhead. So, nonetheless, the road to the Super Bowl in the AFC goes to Kansas City. It's been like that a few times, but unfortunately, they haven't cashed in. Is this the time where they finally cash in? We'll see. So, look up playoff years past. Look up especially 1995 and 1997. Even though I do think there were a couple of other times they had the number 1 spot, but those are the 2 that stand out the most to me. So, but nonetheless, KC is number 3. You're absolutely spot on. Number 2, Los Angeles Rams. They head to the playoffs as the 2nd seed in the NFC, but the pressure will be on. For Sean McVay to win his first playoff game because they lost last year in the wild card round against Atlanta at home. They don't have to worry about the wild card this year. They got to worry about the divisional game next week, and that'll come against either Chicago, Dallas, or Seattle. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. We'll know at the end of the weekend. They'll be, I believe, in the 2nd game of the divisional weekend. They'll be playing the primetime game next Saturday night on Fox. So that's all I can say there. I've been very high on this team. Not as high as I was, about 2 or 3 months ago when I was, proclaiming them as the best team. And they're capable of making a run, but the team that I have ahead of them, I think they're the better team right now. And I think, to me, they're the most complete team right now. And don't get me wrong, I'm still very high on LA. I'm very high on them. It's the highest I've been on the Rams since the infamous Greatest Show on Turf days, where Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, and Isaac Bruce and company. So, can they go all the way? Absolutely. Will they? I don't know. I just don't know. But nonetheless, the Los Angeles Rams are my number 2. I'm still high on them, but they're not the best team. They're not the most complete team right now. Pains me to say it, and I know MF's probably going to, give me a hint on that one, but it is what it is. So MF, the Rams are number 2. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I agree with that as well. There was really not much to go on that one. I guess a lot of people now know who number 1 is, and it is the New Orleans Saints. They are the number 1 team. I know a lot of people are going to be like, wait a minute, but they lost on the last week of the season. Why would you make them number 1? Because the fact is they rested all their starters. Drew Brees wasn't playing. Alvin Kamara didn't play much. Mark Ingram didn't play much. Michael Thomas didn't play much. Even a lot of their defensive starters did not play much. They basically gave them a little bit of an off week, just to rest up and be ready for the postseason. So there was really not much for them to really do or worry about in that game. So, yeah, absolutely. I know a lot of people are going to be, that we're going against our own rules about how the team's been. But the thing is that, like you said, if you're going to go body of work and overall and everything else, the New Orleans Saints are number one. The way that they beaten the Rams, the way they beat Philadelphia, the way that they've won all these games up to this point, and plus all roads leads through the Superdome from now until the end of the NFC playoffs. That is a daunting task. And if you look at the way that this body of work has led up, leading into their run to the Super Bowl, the same three teams, and here's the funniest thing about this. They were 13-3. They lost to three teams. The same three teams that they've lost to were the same three teams that they lost on their road to Super Bowl 44. Guys, are the stars starting to align again? Could we be on yet another magical run down by the bayou again? I mean, it looks like it, guys. It looks like it's all coming together for the New Orleans Saints. And Vegas has them as the perennial favorite to win the Super Bowl. A lot of people believe that they are the favorites, and some even has penciled them in as far to go all the way to win it all. So, I mean, they're definitely one of the top three in my book that I believe could win the whole thing. So, definitely, they're there. So, we'll wait and see what happens. But, yeah, nothing more to say. Number one is the New Orleans Saints. Anthony, go.
New Orleans Saints. They earned the top seed in the playoffs, but showed what life might be like without Drew Brees against the Panthers, and it was not pretty. But nonetheless, I think right now they are the most complete team, and they're the best team in the league right now. And I consider them, my early favorite to come out of Atlanta and win Super Bowl 53. So they've done it before. Last time they had the home field advantage go their way, they won it all. Just ask Peyton Manning in the Indianapolis Colts, Super Bowl 44. We'll never forget it. So, they've done it once before. I think they can do it again. So, but anything can happen, as we've learned in so many years. So, nothing more to say on that. New Orleans Saints is number one. So that will put the bow on this very special edition of Football Friday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. And, by the way, Michael Bullock has the Chicago Bears winning that wild card game over Philadelphia, and he also had Alabama winning the national championship as well. So, nothing more to say here. MF, come on back in. Let's get your quick shout-outs here, and then we'll set the table for the future content, and definitely some exciting content when it comes to Raw and SmackDown next week.
Oh, without a doubt. First off, thank you, everybody, for making the show as incredible as it is. You guys are the best fans in the world. You guys already know that. For the super fans, you guys know who you guys are. 2184 crew, you guys know who you guys are. Our friends in the junior high and high school days, love you guys to death. And that's it, guys. Nothing more to say. So we'll see you guys very soon. Anthony, it's yours.
Yes, indeed. Very special shout out to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to make our shows as over as they are. We appreciate it as always. You are the best fans in the world. Special shout out to Dee Dee Woodson, Kevin Woodson, and the Woodson family. Our insiders, Matt Ward, Jason Hicksonbaugh, Daniel Luttrell from the UK, our other first ladies, Kaiser Butler, Megan Silva, and Lexi Calloway. Crew members, Tommy Souza, Eric Carrier, Jimmy Alden, Albert Anderson, and Rob Parsons. And unfortunately, Michael Bullock had to leave us a little early this evening because of a family commitment, but it is what it is. And of course, Derek Ferrero, who puts it all together. You gotta check out his content. His content really good. And all of our personalities from 6, 10, and 12, all of our friends over at ESPN, Fox Sports 1, NFL Network, NHL Network, MLB Network, NBA TV, the whole 9 yards. Lindsey McCormick, Seda Sorrell, our friends from the Road Show, Will Gilbert, Brendan Kirby, and Michaela Johnson, the former co-host Megan Mooney and Mary Larson. And last but not least, my wonderful friends and church family over at Oasis of Grace Ministries on 464 Silver Spring Street in Providence. If you need a church home, check them out, exit 25 off Route 95. Sunday morning at 9, Bible study. 10:30, Sunday morning service. And then Wednesday night, Bible study returns this upcoming Wednesday at 7. We've taken the last few weeks off from that because of the holidays and other things. So we'll be back with that on Wednesday and other things going on. So looking forward to seeing them all Sunday. It's going to be a great service as always. First one of the year. So we'll see how that goes. And that's it for that. Monday night, we have a very exciting first Ridiculously Raw of 2019. And I do mean exciting. Oh, boy. Even though we will have to start off on a very somber note because of the recent passing of Mean Gene Okerlund, we will pay our respects and share our favorite memories of Mean Gene as we start the show. And then, of course, we'll review the very first Monday Night Raw of the year. It was just announced today, MF, I'm sure you heard the big news. The Immortal One himself, Hulk Hogan, is going to be on the show to pay his respects to Mean Gene, which is only fitting because we all know how very close those two were in real life and on the shows. So only fitting to have the Hulkster there. John Cena's going to be there. Braun Strowman's going to be there. Brock Lesnar, I believe, is going to be there. So it's going to be a very exciting show in Orlando. And, of course, I'll also have 205 Live, Impact Wrestling, and I'll also give you the results of the Homecoming pay-per-view, the Impact Wrestling Homecoming pay-per-view that's going to be going down this weekend from the Asylum in Nashville. That's going to be something else. Immediately following Monday Night Raw, as always. And then Tuesday, time to be determined with MF. We have the Cerebral Smack Talk, the first SmackDown Live. I know MF's probably got a lot of things in his Mikey's mindset, I'm sure, considering we've been off the last couple of weeks. And that's it for that. And then next Friday, Strictly Sports. The only thing I know we'll be doing is previewing the 4 NFL divisional playoff matchups. And we'll probably do NHL power rankings next week and whatever else Derek decides to throw at us. So, we'll just take it from there. So, so that's it for that. And, so until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, it's Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher. And in spirit, Michael Bullock, Edie Woodson, and Derek Ferrera. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed weekend. And until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, you've been watching Football Friday right here on the Tone 25 at YouTube.com. For everybody who's been a part of this one. For now, Anthony Florio, so long. And bye, everybody. Bye.